Now your hosts, Matt and Brandon.
Welcome to Amusement Park Road Trip. My name is Matt, and as always, I am here with Brandon.
Hello.
Hello. And today we are taking a relatively short road trip. Actually, it's still pretty long, but shorter than going to Ellisburg, Pennsylvania, or Branson, Missouri. This one's a little bit closer to us.
And yet we are still not there.
Well, we're still not there now. We'll never make it there.
Wait,
today,
never?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I head out this way, actually.
I'm surprised you haven't been there yet.
I am familiar with this area. So today we are talking about Enchanted Forest in Salem, Oregon, which is, like I said, a little bit closer than Pennsylvania or Missouri to us. And this is a really cool kind of like a DIY. That's not right.
DIY.
DIY. This is a cool DIY park. This is built by Roger Tofty, and he built this in the 60s and 70s. So we're just going to go over a few of the park facts, and then we'll get into the park. So, like I said, Roger Tofty built the park. It opened, and this was funny. It notes, if you go on their website, it has a history of the park. And when it says it opened, it says specifically 2 p.m. So it opened at 2 p.m. on Sunday, August 8th in 1971. They wrote the word open on a piece of butcher paper and just placed it on the fence. And they had a whopping 75 people show up on the first day, but we'll get to that in a second. So this is still owned by the Tofty family, owned and operated. Roger's children, Susan, Mary, and Ken, are now in charge. They have grandchildren, and Roger almost has great-grandchildren, so it'll almost be 4 generations of Tofty's working there. And Roger is still around, and he's still at the park often. So if you're not familiar with this park, there are a few rides, but this is mostly a walkthrough attraction kind of park. So there are 9 rides, and we'll talk about those, but we'll focus mainly on the walkthrough attractions. So some fun facts. Roger Tofty bought the original 20 acres of land off of I-5 in Salem, Oregon for $4,000 in the 60s, which I don't know with inflation. I don't know if that was expensive or cheap, but I'm assuming because there really wasn't much in Salem, especially in the 60s. So I'm guessing the land was not expensive in the first place. But that's $4,000. We can't even comprehend that today. The park construction started in 1964. It was just 1 bag of cement at a time. And Roger thought it would take 2 years. Now I can relate to this project management of like, it'll take me 2 years to build this. So Roger thought it would take 2 years to complete Storybook Lane and open the park with just Storybook Lane. But it ended up taking 7 years. So I can definitely relate to that. On opening day, as we mentioned before, there were 75 people. So I don't know if they were excited about that or bummed out about it. But the next Sunday, there were 1,000 people. So that is a 1,233.33, repeating, of course, % increase for week over week. Brandon, do you know how they got this huge increase?
Don't know. I just think that's impressive. They grew that quickly.
Yeah. You got to think back to how things worked in the 70s.
Oh, it was probably social media.
Yeah. Yep. There was a newspaper article written, I believe, in the Oregonian, which is their newspaper. And so people saw that was there. And so 1,000 people showed up the next Sunday, which is pretty cool. And the last fun fact, I'm a bit of ashamed to admit this, but it is my guilty pleasure. I love the show Ghost Adventurers. I don't think it's real. I'm very skeptical. I often roll my eyes at it, but Ghost Adventures did do an episode here at this park. But that's not how I was exposed to the park. I first learned about the park through Justin Scard, which he's one of my favorite people to follow on YouTube. Do you remember the first time you'd heard of this park?
Not specifically. I mean, I watch YouTube and some of the same YouTubers as you, so it's been in my mind that it exists, but yeah.
Gotcha.
That's all I'll say about that.
Well, let's take a walk through the park. All right, so we're going to start at the entrance here, and we're going to go with Storybook Lane. So this is the part that was originally built when it opened. So Storybook Lane, of course, you have to start with the castle, which is really cool, made out of wood and cement. Again, all of this was made by Roger Tofty by himself. So it's really impressive when you see it all in person. So there's a castle you go through. There's a few things you can see in there. And there's also a dungeon, which you may see Maleficent in the dungeon of the castle.
I'm curious, how are they not in trouble for using the actual Maleficent cartoon in that spot?
That's a good question. If they don't specifically say it's Maleficent, because this park is full of nursery rhymes and all these very popular characters that Disney then made movies of. So they're characters everybody knows and associates them with Disney, but Disney did not come up with these stories.
Right, but that one's clearly the Disney Maleficent.
Yes, it is clearly Disney Maleficent. So I don't know how they don't get in trouble for that, but maybe they do.
Good for them.
Maybe they have to pay for a fine to have it. I'm not sure. So we exit the castle and we're going to go past Humpty Dumpty, who's sitting on a wall. We will come back to him later because I do have a question for you about Humpty Dumpty. We also pass by Little Miss Muffet, and I honestly don't know the nursery rhyme for Little Miss Muffet. Do you know it?
Little Miss Muffet had her tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider and sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away.
Very good.
Thank you.
You know, I knew I had you on this episode for a specific reason because I didn't know that one.
Yeah, just let me know if you need any more help with nursery rhymes. I got you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do have a few more questions later. So Little Miss Muffet, and next to her is the spider, which is a weird looking spider. Also, side note, have you seen the statue? Have you got a good look at this Little Miss Muffet?
Yeah, that spider, he's something.
So the first time I saw the actual Little Miss Muffet, it reminded me of Reagan from The Exorcist, the original one. It is creepy looking. And the way her head is down, it's like she's head down, but looking up at you.
Well, didn't you know the original Exorcist was based off this park?
Right. Yeah. It's creepy. I got a little bit of a better look and I was like, okay, it's not that bad. But when I first saw her, it was very creepy. That's all I can say. You also, after you pass Little Miss Muffet, you pass Mary and her little lamb. I know that one, Brandon. And then you get into some of the fun stuff. So you enter the gingerbread house and there's Hansel and Gretel. And there is a witch animatronic trying to get the kids in the oven. And it is another very creepy thing, seeing that depicted. And Hansel's in a cage and Gretel's like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, don't do it.
I don't know what to do with my hands. For the record, all the nursery rhymes and storybook, what would you call them? The fairy tales?
Yeah.
They're all pretty messed up, pretty deranged.
So maybe I should just stop saying they're creepy about everything. Just overall,
that's the way they're supposed to be, Matt. This person just actually, the way they built this part was true to the stories.
Yeah.
They're supposed to keep you up at night.
Yes. And apparently attract ghosts, according to ghost hunters. There's all this negative energy around these scary stories.
Whatever you say, Zach.
Yeah. So you leave the gingerbread house and you come up on Alice in Wonderland. So this is pretty cool. There's a rabbit hole, so you can crawl through the rabbit hole. And as you crawl through there, you exit out of the keyhole on the other side of the trail. So pretty cool thing. And there's a lot of stuff like that, a lot of small stuff like that throughout the park. And once you get out, there's Alice and her friends. There's the Mad Hatter and the caterpillar. I don't know if there's a cat, though.
There is a cat. I did see. Well, at least there's a painting of the cat.
Oh, okay. And then there's Jack and Jill on a hill. I don't know what else to say. What's the nursery rhyme for Jack and Jill? Jack and Jill fell down a hill.
Went up a hill to fetch a pail of water. Along came a spider and sat down beside them. No, that's the other one.
I don't know that one. Don't worry.
They fall down the hill. That's with their pail of water.
So you pass by Jack and Jill. You get the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs cottage. So the cottage is like a 2-story. You look on the bottom, Snow White's in there cleaning with the woodland creatures. And then you go up to, it's like just up a hill, not up steps. So you go up the steps and you see into the second story of the house, which is the 7 dwarfs. Now, Brandon, can you name me the 7 dwarfs?
Well, there's Doc, Dopey, Grumpy, Sneezy, Sleepy, Bashful, and Sneezy. Did I say that one?
I think you said that one. I'm not sure. But an Enchanted Forest, they're a little bit different. These are different 7 dwarfs. There is Smiley, Snoozy, Wheezy, Lumpy, Droopy, Dingy, and Grouchy. So maybe that one was a copyright issue. Maybe.
You can use Maleficent, but change the names of the dwarfs.
Also with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you can go inside the dwarves' mine, which is really cool. You can see their treasure. There's a waterfall in there, and
Oh boy.
brightly painted cave in there with stalagmites and stalactites. Is that the other one?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's really cool to go into that cave. You come out of that cave and you are at the mouth of one of the most terrifying things in the park, which is the witch's head. And you enter the witch's head through her mouth. So
Everybody's mother-in-law.
that's Justin Scart's favorite joke. Oh no, it's everybody's mother-in-law.
Look at the size of everybody's mother-in-law.
So it is a huge head. Obviously, if you're entering through the mouth, it has to be pretty tall. So you enter through the mouth, kind of creepy. I guess that goes without saying, but you can go inside the head and you can either exit through a staircase or you can slide down through her hair, which is pretty cool. Right next to the witch's head is the Three Bears, which is another building you can go inside of and look at. And then you get to the crooked house of the crooked man. Brandon, I don't think I've ever heard of this before. What is the crooked house of the crooked man?
There was a crooked man who had a crooked smile. He had a lot of the crooked things. I don't know. That's just the rhyme.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
There was a crooked man who walked a crooked mile. I think he talks about that. Yeah. There was a crooked man and he walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence and a crooked style. He bought a crooked cat, which caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a crooked little house. And if you've watched any of the Conjuring movies, he's in those.
I believe it. He is interesting character. So you do get to walk through the crooked house. It's like a funhouse style where the floors are slanted. There's a painting in there. I don't know if it's the crooked man, but there is a painting in there of a guy. It looks like he's holding a violin, but he has two sets of eyes. One of those paintings that like really messes with your brain when you stare at it. So that's an interesting thing. We're almost through Storybook Lane. So you come out of the crooked house and you go past Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf. This one, you don't go inside, but you can see Little Red Riding Hood at the front door and the wolf in the bedroom, just waiting for her. And then you go past Peter Pumpkin Eater, which reminds me, there is a Wendy's Pumpkin Spice Frosty. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Wendy's Pumpkin Spice Frosty.
Not by Wendy's, but it is.
Is that how sponsors work? You just say them, right?
Yeah. So we say it, then they just give us money.
Okay.
I think that's how it works.
So, yeah, go get yourself a pumpkin spice frosty from Wendy's. I actually will be getting one today if they are available.
I don't think they're, well, when this comes out, I'm sure they will be, but not right now.
Yeah, as I said that, I realized, I just saw the announcement today, so they're probably not available. What a bummer. That just kind of ruined my afternoon. Do you know the story of Peter Pumpkin Eater? This is another one. I know the name Peter Pumpkin Eater, but I don't know the rhyme.
The man who had a wife and couldn't keep her.
Well, that's an uplifting child story.
Like I said, they're all terrible.
Okay. Okay. So we are at the end of Storybook Lane, and you go out of Storybook Lane in the most epic way possible. So there is is it the little old lady who lives in a shoe?
Yep.
Yeah. In my notes, I think I combined Lane and little old lady. But there's a little old lady who lives in a shoe. She's standing at the top of the shoe, and the way you exit is you get to ride on a burlap sack down a slide, which actually goes pretty fast. It's pretty cool.
Gotta love myself some burlap sack slides.
Yeah. And it's covered because of the Oregon rain. The slide would probably get destroyed. It would be wet. So it's nice that it's covered. So you go down the slide. It's a nice dry ride. And that ends Storybook Lane. And again, that was what the park originally opened as in 1971. It was the Storybook Lane. So we're going to move on because in 1972, they expanded. It was their first expansion, and they built Toftyville, which is a Western town. So what good amusement park doesn't have a Western town?
I can't tell you. They all do.
They all do. Why is that? I guess that's just an American thing. Well, is that an American thing? I guess if other like European parks are based off of, well, no, I guess I'm just thinking of Disney parks outside of the US and they have Western style towns because that's what Disney has. So in this Western town, you're going to find a shooting range, which is right on mark for a Western town. You can pan for gold. There's remote control boats and Fort Fearless, which is just like a wooden jungle gym. I guess you can run through tunnels, and there's tunnels. You enter the fort. This was crazy. You enter through the fort and you crawl through this tunnel and you exit out of a fire, a fake fire, of course, surrounded by a teepee, like on the other side of the walkway. So that's really cool. But most notably for Toftyville is the haunted house. I want to hear your thoughts on the haunted house, Brandon.
I think the first video I saw of it that you sent me was just a walkthrough of it, someone just walking through alone. And it is just a great creepy vibe.
Yeah, very creepy.
It's not the scariest haunted house you'll ever go through, but it's just got this vibe. It's a whole vibe, as the kids say.
Yeah. And it's not like it's updated or anything. So this was built in 1974 and probably feels like a building built in 1974 as you walk through. So yeah, there's no actors in there. There are a few animatronics, scenes throughout the hallways. So you'll be walking down the hall, and then on the left will be a pane of glass, and on the other side of that glass is a scene. There's a really cool one with like neon painted furniture that's moving around, but you can't see the strings or the wires. So it's like, how do they do that? And in fact, Ghost Adventures caught a little person, a little stick figure ghost in that room.
Oh my gosh.
Hiding in the bed behind the curtain. So that was really exciting. Yeah. But it is really cool. But yes, I don't think you can overstate how creepy it seems going through there, especially by yourself.
I just imagine it smells awesome in there too.
Oh yeah, it's got a smell. And everything in everything in Oregon with the rain, where it's raining a lot, has a smell. So
it's almost as if Dingy's living in there.
Yeah. Good old Dingy. Probably left the mine, went and lived in there. So that's it for the haunted house. Brandon and I encourage you to go watch a video of it. It's very interesting. Oh, at the end, they do have these two skeletons, animatronics, that are singing a song, and they're cheerful and happy. And that's a fun way to end the haunted house. But there's just some weird stuff in there.
Yeah, we could probably talk about the whole haunted house itself for an episode or for greater length. But yeah, it won't do it justice. Just go watch the video.
Yeah. And the video won't do it justice either there. If you can just go in person, would be the best.
And why even listen to this podcast? Just go out and explore the world.
Yeah. Well, don't say that.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez. Anyway, we're going to include with Toftyville. I think this is part of it. It makes sense thematically. There is the big timber log ride. So they have a classic log ride. I think it's 40 feet that you shoot down. So I don't think there's any special theming or anything like that. You're just taking up a hill, ride around a little bit, and then you go down the waterfall. So we're moving on from Toftyville. We're going to the Old European Village. In the Old European Village, there is a ride called Challenge of Mondor. This is another thing, Brandon and I would encourage you go watch a video of. It is very special. So it's a shooter ride. You sit in a cart, and it's actually one of the first trackless rides in the US. Probably not the first, but it's up there as being one of the first. And it's noted in one of the videos that even Disney Imagineers went when this ride opened to see how it all worked and everything. They were impressed with this ride, especially at such a small scale park. So it's a fantasy ride, as you could probably guess by the name Challenge of Mondor. And you start the ride off and you see Mondor, this great wizard, a really cool animatronic. And then you ride through and you are shooting bears and other things. I don't know what you're shooting at exactly, but
it's all sorts of creatures.
So Brandon, I know you're not a fan of shooter rides.
I was going to say I don't like shooter rides, but this one is, I'll make an exception.
So even if you don't like shooter rides, would you still ride it just to enjoy the ride?
Sure. I guess my general feelings is shooter rides kind of detract from you being able to enjoy it. In my opinion, I like to just take things in rather than worrying about hitting a score or anything. But this one's cool because it's way unique. It's not screens or anything that you're shooting at. It's actual animatronics and set pieces. And also you get a cool medal if you get a good score in it. So I think it's a ride twice type of ride. Ride once to enjoy, ride second time to win the medal.
Good luck with that. they do have a plaque on the wall too of people's high scores, which if they're making a plaque, like and actually physically putting your high score up there, you really got to get a high score. I also noticed these guns are very similar, if not identical, to the guns you use at Legoland. There's a shooter right there, and it was the same gun. So seeing that made me happy. Also, an old European village is the Fantasy Fountains. It's a water light show.
So cool.
Yeah, it's created by Roger's daughter Susan, including the music which she created. So seeing this, I'm so bad at describing like scale and size of things, but it's inside of the Roger Jolly. Hold on,
Jolly Roger.
the Jolly Roger. It's inside the Jolly Roger.
You're a little, I was gonna say ambidextrous. You're a little dyslexic today.
I'm a little ambidextrous today. Um, yeah, I am mixing up things today. I'm having a tough time. But it is inside of the, I've already forgotten the Jolly Roger.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, it's inside of the Jolly Roger. It's this water show with lights and the background's kind of like a cave. I don't know how to describe it. But anyway, it's really cool. It reminded me. So I don't think I've ever seen videos of the actual original water show. So at Disney California Adventure, they have the water show. But before Disney California Adventure, there was, I believe that pays tribute to, there was like a water show at the Disneyland Hotel. And so if you couldn't afford to go to the Disneyland Hotel or to Disneyland, families would often go and just watch this very, very small scale water show. And that's what I kind of imagined this to be like. It is an entertaining water show with lights and stuff and music. If you enjoy that kind of stuff, I know I do. Brandon, you seem to enjoy that stuff as well.
And a lot of words in my mouth today.
Oh,
but yes,
sorry.
you're right.
Okay. And you get to enjoy it while you're eating food. So the show lasts about 7 minutes. So while you're eating your food, you can maybe watch it 3 times. I don't know. It probably doesn't play consecutively. It probably takes breaks, and then also an old European village. And I actually don't know if this is part of it, but again, I think the theming could work, is one of the rides, the Ice Mountain Bobsled roller coaster. This roller coaster was built in 1983. And I think from what I understand reading the history of it, Roger started building it and it just became too difficult for him. And so there was a company that came in and built the rest of it. So looking at it, it's a snow-covered mountain, which is really cool. And there's a roller coaster that goes through it. It's a very small scale roller coaster. So, and the cars are enclosed. It's very different, very interesting. You go through the mountain and I believe there's a Yeti. And I was trying to look. So 1983. Yeah, Matterhorn was definitely open by then. Also, it's 100 feet tall. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm so bad with scale. I don't know if that's tell or not. Brandon, did you watch a ride through of this ride?
I did. And I mean, it looks janky.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. But that's part of the draw of this park, I think.
Yeah.
Well, not that the park's janky. I don't want to say that. It's just
homegrown.
More DIY, you know?
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It reminds me of something we would see, like if you go up into the mountains, the real mountains, sometimes they'll have coasters that take you through the scenery. It's not like kind of similar to an alpine slide, but not really. There are coasters where it's like one person coaster that goes through mountains. So it's something like that. That's small scale. But it's really cool. It looks awesome from the outside. So that is it for the old European village. And I've got to mention this because it's in the park, but I don't know where it fits in. But in the back, so you go past the Ice Mountain Bobsled roller coaster, you go past the log flume, big timber log ride. And past that is the Comedy Theater, which performs musical comedies. And they've been doing that since 1972. And actually, if you go on their website and you look for employment, it asks, are you looking for employment inside the park? Like, I don't know, serving food or just being around as security? Or do you want to try out to be part of the show that we're going to be putting on for next year? So it's there. I didn't want to skip over it, but I don't think there's much more to say about that because we're rushing our way to get through to the kiddie rides.
That's all we need to say. There's kiddie rides.
Oh, we'll say a little more than that. There's a kiddie train, kiddie bumper cars, a Ferris wheel, and frog hopper, which looks like bumper cars on water. But for all of these, so I guess we should mention you paid a park admission. So you pay to get in. And in fact, when it opened, it was 50 cents for a child and $1 for an adult. It's a little more now. I think it's around $25 for adults. But to ride the rides, the few rides that they do have, it is separate. You have to buy tickets to get on these rides. So I'm curious how many people do the kiddie rides. Wait, do you hear that?
What?
That's our carousel review music.
What? Carousel review music? What is that?
This is a new segment we're going to do. You know, when we started this podcast, I think we mentioned we wanted to be the bumper car boys, but I think it has quickly turned into we want to be the carousel boys because carousels are very interesting. They almost all have a very interesting history and are well documented. But
You could say that we care about carousels.
oh, thank you. Thank you for adding that commentary, Brandon.
They're very merry. They make the world go round.
Keep going. You're on a roll.
That's all I got.
Oh, okay. So this carousel is very small, but that does not take away from its beauty. It has 14 animals that you can ride. So there's colorful ostriches. At first I was like, what is that? Like a mythical creature, but it's an ostrich. It's just like purple and pink. They have bunnies with giant ears, pigs you can ride, and then classic carousel horses. And then there's also one bench. So 14, 15, 16 riders if there's two people on the bench. So very small, but it's still really nice. It looks like a really nice carousel. It looks like it's made out of wood, or I don't know. It doesn't look plastic and cheap, if that makes sense. I don't know if you had a chance to even look at it because it's so small. People might not even realize there's a carousel there. But did you see any pictures or videos of it, Brandon?
I did not.
That's all right.
But for the sake of the podcast, I'm going to say I did. Looks
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah. So going back to the copyright issue, one of the videos I was watching on the carousel, it was Be Our Guest in carousel type music. I'm sure there's a name for the type of music that's played at a carousel, but I don't know the name of that yet. And we're going to learn it because we are the carousel boys. Do you know the name of it? The music?
The type of music?
It's like a waltz. I don't know.
You got me. I don't know.
It's like it with organ. It's an organ and a bunch of bells.
I would call it carousel music. If you were to ask me.
And I would know what you meant by that. Carousel music. Be My Guest was playing. And I thought.
Be Our Guest?
Oh, yes. Be Our Guest. And I thought, do they have to pay for that? Or do they just use it and nobody knows kind of thing?
Well, maybe. I mean, they said that they compose all the music in the park, right? So maybe they composed that.
Maybe. That's a good point.
Some sort of a parody. Not a parody, but, it's their own version of that song.
Yeah.
It's a cover. That's what you call it when it's not
it's a cover song.
It's a cover song, a cover of Be Our Guest.
I like it. And that's the end of our first review of a carousel. I like the segment. All right, Brandon, we're moving on to quiz time.
Oh boy, oh boy.
So get ready. Question 1. What did Tofty's friends and coworkers, so Roger Tofty worked on the freeway. He was working on the freeway for I-5, I believe. And so his friends and family knew about this piece of land that he bought. What did Tofty's friends and coworkers call Enchanted Forest while he was building it? Did they call it A, the Enchanted Nightmare, B, Idiot Hill, or C, the Money Pit?
It may have been a money pit at times. It may have been an enchanted nightmare, especially if you go at night. But the answer is B, Idiot Hill.
Very good, Brandon. Ding. We need to have a little bell there. Or we can just do it ourselves. That's easier. It is. People would refer to it as Idiot Hill. And he said that pretty much put more fuel in the fire for him to build it and show them. And boy, did he show them. All right. Question number 2. On an opening day attraction, Humpty Dumpty has been built twice. What happened to the original Humpty Dumpty? A, the Oregon weather eventually caused a hole in the head from erosion. B, the original Humpty Dumpty was too small and Roger wanted to improve the original design. Or 3, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
I really, really want the answer to be C, even though I doubt it is. I'm going to go with B. It was too small and he wanted to be bigger.
So close. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
He did?
Yeah, there was these 2 guys that wanted to climb the wall and sit up next to him for a photo, and their weight was too great for that wall and took down the wall, and Humpty Dumpty crashed. So I actually love it because It has under Humpty Dumpty, there's the brick wall he's sitting on, and it has the nursery rhyme, Humpty Dumpty built wall. Wait, what the heck is it?
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.
Right. And then after that, on a separate brick, it says, but Roger Tofty did, or Roger Tofty could, because he had to rebuild him. So very clever. Yeah.
Maybe it was a more of a PR stunt. Maybe he put those big guys up there.
Maybe. That's a good point. Maybe it was. They needed some people to come visit. So they decided.
You sly dog.
They decided to destroy one of their creations to get in the news. I mean, NPR did cover it. So.
Oh, well, he hit the big time.
Yeah. All right. Question 3. What was the first cement sculpture that Roger Tofty constructed? And this was in 1964. Was it A, the pumpkin from Peter Pumpkin Eater? B, the castle at the entrance of Storybook Lane? Or C, was it Humpty Dumpty?
The answer, my friend, is A, the pumpkin from Peter Pumpkin Eater.
Very good. Oh, yeah. You knew that one with confidence.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I'm a pumpkin boy.
Brandon is my pumpkin boy, and I am his baby ghoul. That's it for quiz time. So moving along, we're getting towards the end here. And I have a question for you, Brandon. What ride or attraction would you ride if you could only do one?
Well, I kind of want to sit up next to Humpty, but probably won't get away with it. So I'm going to say Haunted Mansion, the haunted house. What is it called?
It's the haunted house. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Not the Haunted Mansion. I would say the haunted house because it's just so cool.
Yeah.
And I like my haunted stuff, as people may know at this point. I like those.
You're terrified of them.
And this one, what I really appreciate about the haunted stuff is when it's not jump scary. This one has a little bit of jump scares, but not so much that I would be checking around my back the entire time. And so a walk through not terribly haunted experiences right up my alley.
Yeah, you're more of a vibe, man.
You
enjoy the haunted vibe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that would be my first choice, but we have rules on this podcast, which is if one person chooses the ride, you have to choose another. So I think I would go with, this is tough, but I think I would go with the challenge. I would go with the challenge of Mondor.
Yeah, I knew you'd pick it. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'd love to see the wizard Mondor and just experience that. And I do like shooter games, unlike you. So nothing wrong with that. It's just a preference. I get it. But I do enjoy shooter games. So we're moving on to our segment about food. And the website made me laugh. So I'm just going to read this through basically what the website says, because it made me laugh for whatever reason. So, this first part is not, I'm just listing. They have the Jolly Roger, which has the free water show, but a limited menu. Gretel's Grill, which is sometimes open. Ma and Pa's Barbecue, which is sometimes open. Mary's Coffee Cottage, which is sometimes open, and Ice Cream Parlor, which is sometimes open. Their website basically says, we recommend you just bring your own food. If you don't want to wait in lines for the food, and we have a very limited menu, just bring your own food. So your food is welcome into this park. Bring whatever you want.
That's nice.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you can bring alcohol, but they do say just bring whatever you want. So bring your food, go sit down in the Jolly Roger and watch the water light show. And you don't have to pay for it. So I don't know what it is when we go out to places and we decide to bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and not buy food. For whatever reason, those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like the flavor is enhanced. I don't know why, but as you know, I have a Disney trip coming up and I'm honestly looking forward to packing some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the park. They're just better. When you bring them in a park, they're better. I don't know what it is.
Because they get smushed?
Maybe. Or they're like warm.
Warm.
I don't know. I don't know.
In my pocket, getting nice and warm.
Yeah. Got some gummy bears for you. It's like when you eat chips at your friend's house. They're way better than when you eat them at your house, kind of thing. So peanut butter jelly at your house, it's okay. But as soon as you leave your house with that thing and you're not going to school, you're going to a park or whatever, it's way better. So I know food is one of your favorite parts, Brandon. Was there anything that stood out to you or anything you want to mention?
Nothing but food. Sorry. It's not the highlight of the park.
No. And they make that clear. And I appreciate that. Ooh, we've done it.
Oof.
We've gone through Enchanted Forest. And again, because this park is so small, we're just covering it in one episode. So
Yeah, no rides deep dive next week.
no. So final thoughts. If you were in the area, would you go visit this park?
Absolutely. Do I think I would make a special trip just for it? No, but if I was heading the Pacific Northwest direction, I would go out of my way to visit this park. And I might do just that eventually.
Yeah. It's not unrealistic for us. We do head that way sometimes. I would definitely visit this park, but something I want to point out. This park isn't for everybody. I think if you've only ever, well, I don't know if it's bad to categorize it this way, but not in my mind, it's not bad categorizing it this way. It's like a roadside attraction.
Yeah.
If you're into that kind of stuff, homemade stuff, just weird things you won't see anywhere else, I'd say go visit it. If you're a coaster person or you're way into the magic of theming and you're going to post on social media, then maybe this isn't the place for you. But yeah, I would visit it. And I don't think I'd ride any of the rides. I'd probably do Haunted House. Actually, I take that back. So I would do Haunted House. I would do the Challenge of Mondor. And I would probably do, if we had time, I would be interested in the Ice Mountain bobsled roller coaster. So one of our most important questions, does this park have a waterfall?
You already pointed out that it does.
Yep.
I can't remember where you said it did, but it does. There's a waterfall.
Yeah, there's a waterfall and the Dwarf's Mine.
That's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the water show. There's no waterfall.
Kind of a waterfall.
But it's a water show. It's exciting.
The water shoots up and then falls down. So yes, it is a waterfall.
Yeah. All right, Brendan. I think we've covered it all. Is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
I will say we've kind of hit it, but the most important thing about the park is it's not some big corporation running it. It's just a family. And I think that adds to, number one, why you should support it. Check it out. And number two, it's just all that more special to know the love and care that's gone into it.
I agree. Yeah, it is pretty cool. And like I mentioned before, how they are a year or two away from 4 generations working at this park. It brings the family together. It is really cool. So I agree with you there. Well, that's it. Oh, one last thing I did want to mention for final thoughts. If you go to the website, enchantedforest.com, look at the park map. This is artwork by Roger Tofty. It's really cool. I think you could buy that picture somewhere, but it is a really cool park map. You can look it up on your phone as well. Actually, I don't know if it shows up on a phone. So I encourage you to go to the website and check out the Enchanted Forest map. It is a painting by Roger.
And I assume there's a book that was written. I'm sure you can still buy that as well.
Yeah. Yes, that is on the website. I think there are multiple books, but from what I could see, there was 1 or 2 just for sale. And Roger's wife is the one that writes those books. So again, keeping it all in the family. Well, that is it for this week. Next week is the beginning of October. And Brandon and I have decided that haunted houses count as amusement parks. Well, no, but we have decided that we're going to cover them.
No, they are amusement parks. Don't sugarcoat it.
Okay. I mean, some of the haunted attractions in our area, in our neck of the woods, do have like rides or things you can do, which would make it feel like an amusement park. So anyway, we'll be covering that for the month of October. If that's something you are into, I think you should stick around and listen to it. We're going to have a lot of fun. We'll be covering a few across the country. And if it's something you enjoy and you think your friends will enjoy it, go ahead and share it with them. If you have any memories, any pictures or anything about Enchanted Forest, go ahead and share it on social media, or you can email us at amusementparkroadtrip@gmail.com. And maybe we'll read your email when we get it on the podcast. We're going to read it, of course, but maybe we'll read it on the podcast. So I think that's it.
And make sure you follow us on social media too. Did you already say that?
Nope. Follow us on social media. Thank you, Brandon, for doing the social media. I do not do that stuff, but we do have a YouTube channel. So I do the YouTube channel. Check it out. We are Amusement Park Road Trip. And yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. How do I stop recording this thing? Bye now.